thank you for checking out our latest episode here. Today, we're actually going to talk about something that has been mentioned in a few comments, as well as even back quite a while ago when I talked about Fujifilm lenses. And that is this little beauty right here. And this is the Fujifilm XF 16 millimeter f1.4 WR and a couple other letters that I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's essentially a wide angle lens from Fuji. I think the 35 millimeter or full frame equivalent is going to be what, 24, 16 and 8, yeah, 24 millimeter. Now I have never owned this lens before, which is a little bit different because I've kind of cycled through a lot of Fujifilm lenses over the years, especially on the wider side. I tend to enjoy shooting wider, especially for a lot of photojournalism work. It tells a story, and it kind of suits my eye better. So, but this is a new one for me. When I launched or relaunched my endeavor into Fujifilm gear, and there was a video about that. This was the wide angle lens that I chose to sort of start with. Now, I did a lot of research in doing that because this lens is definitely more expensive than the 18 f2, which is quite honestly one of my favorite lenses that Fujifilm make, despite the fact that the reviews you find online and everywhere else are not big fans of it. It is a little bit slow probably, and the image quality is probably not up to par, but I loved it. I loved the size of it, I loved the look of it, and it was zippy enough focusing back in the day for me, and I imagine it's a little bit better now, even with some of the firmware updates and some of the modern Fujifilm camera bodies. But nonetheless, I went with the 16-1.4, and a lot of the reason I went with it is because of a few people that I had kind of found online that literally swear by this lens. And I kind of trusted their opinion, and I really thought that they presented a pretty well thought out review of the lens. Now, as you know, if you've watched any of these videos before, I really don't care a lot about the text part of it, the tech specs part. I don't really, I'm not going to ever debate anyone about micro contrast, and I'm not going to sit there and compare lens autofocus speeds between certain lenses. That doesn't do it for me. I'm concerned with one thing, and that's how it works in reality, in the real world. And that could be whether you're a professional or whether you're an amateur, or a hobbyist, or just an enthusiast of, or just a lover of Fujifilm products altogether. I always base my lens reviews and my camera reviews and any other product I'm going to review on the channel or have reviewed on the channel in how it works in reality. So I'm not going to tell you if if it renders beautifully in the shadows or light, the highlights or whatever. I take the photo, I look at it, and it either pleases me or it doesn't. So that's what this review is going to be. And in short, I'm impressed with the lens, and I'm certainly glad it's part of the lineup I have right now. I think it's very versatile, and like I told you before, it suits my eye. The field of view I enjoy a little bit wider. What I'm not wild about it is it's way bigger, obviously, than the 18 f2. And there's not a lot of difference in the focal lengths. We're talking between 24 and 27. To me, that's not very noticeable. It's certainly not as discreet. It's kind of hard to gauge in a professional setting now because there just isn't a lot of professional work, quite honestly, out there. Although it's certainly not big enough, I don't think, to be intrusive. I love the square lens hood. I always think those are cool. But would I rank this up there amongst my absolute favorite lenses that Fuji's made? Like some people, no, I probably wouldn't. And it really doesn't have anything to do with the performance as much as it does does it suit my eye for the money that I paid for this lens. I bought this lens used, and I think it was around $700 US, which is not a cheap lens. When you figure you can get the 18 f2 for maybe half of that. Maybe less than half of that, actually. I have tried the 14-2.8, and I actually really enjoyed that lens. And I have also tried the 16-2.8. Now, the 16-2.8 is something I definitely considered before purchasing this. But I don't do a lot of video, and if I can get that extra you know, that extra light in there between, you know, the difference between an f1.4 and an f2.8 lens, I am definitely going to do that, especially for what I shoot at a lot of events and even weddings and things like that, even some photojournalism assignments where using a flash is just either not allowed or not very feasible. So this was the way to go. It was either this or the 18 f2 for me. I don't regret buying it at all because it is a fantastic lens. The build quality is unbelievable. It's, you know, I feel like I could run it over with a car and it'll still function. Don't try that, and just figure of speech. But I do enjoy, I like it. And that's what I can say about it. I don't love it, but I like it. And that's pretty good for now. I mean, if I wind up selling this lens and replacing it with the 18 f2, maybe I'll notice a difference a little bit more because I've never had to compare to with the 18 millimeter and these two. But I'll include some images from this that I just kind of took around the house, around the neighborhood, that were taken with this. And it really is a nice lens. There's no doubt. You're not going to go wrong. As with a lot of Fujifilm lenses, there's we're talking the difference between like an A plus and an A minus, or, you know, a B plus or an A minus type lenses. There's really not a lot of clunkers in this. So you're not going to be dissatisfied if you own this lens or if you're considering purchasing it. It's probably a pretty good landscape lens. I don't do a lot of landscape, so I don't really know. I haven't really used it in that application. I do like it is pretty snappy as far as the autofocus goes. I updated all the firmware, of course, on the XT3 as well as this, if there was an update available. I can't remember off the top of my head if there was. But, and it's quick. I mean, it's quick enough for anything that I would have to use it for. But, you know, to me, a lot of this is value oriented, and I don't know that this is the best value lens that Fujifilm have in their lineup at this angle. In fact, you know, the actual kit lens is fantastic as well, that Fuji makes, and also so is the 16 to 55, a 2.8 lens, but it's very versatile, but it is very big, very heavy in the world of Fujifilm lenses. And I have owned that in the past, and I sold it not long after I bought it for that very reason. It was a little too big, despite the versatility. I don't mind zooming with my feet. In most cases, I can do that, and I prefer to do that. I'm more of a big prime shooter. So if you're looking for a super fast wide-angle lens from Fuji, this is 100% the way to go. If the f-stop is not quite as important to you, and you're just looking for a good value in the lens, then the 18 f2 to me is the way to go. But I have it. I'm not dissatisfied, for sure. I'm not upset by it. It's a great lens. I will definitely probably keep it for a while. Maybe if I'm kind of trying to get an X Pro 3. If I get an X Pro 3, I might actually sell this and get the 18 f2 because it just fits better on that rangefinder style than this would. But aside from that, good lens, as usual for Fuji. Fabulous build quality. Weather sealing is a plus. Fast enough focusing. But to me, just not the best value out there. But it doesn't make it a bad lens. It just makes it a more expensive lens than the 18 f2 would be to buy on the secondary market or used. And I don't notice that big of a difference, or don't think there's that big of a difference in the performance between the two. Please, if you think differently or have a different take on it, please leave it in the comments. I'm all ears. And if you liked the video, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit the little bell button so you'll get notified of when we have new videos out. And thank you guys once again for taking a few minutes out of your day to check us out or check me out and listen to this video. And stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.